Hello and welcome to this program all about mentoring. I'm DeeAnn Konrad, the Community Relations Supervisor for the Sioux Falls School District and a proud mentor for more than 2 decades. So when I think back of all of the experiences I've had with a student who was my mentee, I think about Megan and know that she is an adult, a college graduate, and a patient coordinator at a dental office in Michigan. Super proud of her. I know that Bana made it through her middle school years and on to high school. I know that Kevin graduated and is working in our community. And I know that Brooklyn is a middle school student who is working her way through those challenging years that we've all experienced as preteen and teenager in our world. So happy to have played a role in their development and happy to have been a mentor that walked alongside of each of those students throughout their lives. So today we're going to talk to a couple of new aspiring mentors and they're going to share their stories about why they're participating and going to jump into mentoring at this time. January is National Mentoring Month. But certainly we need mentors year-round, and we hope that we can inspire some of you out there today to consider mentoring for the future. There's certainly students in our schools who need that support of a caring adult to walk alongside them in their journeys. So we'll have our guests introduce themselves before we get started with our conversations, and let's go first with you, Nate.
Okay. Nate Hughes. I work at UBS Financial Services in Sioux Falls. New to the mentorship program, just getting into it. Joined, I guess, originally, just when I think back of all the good mentors I've had in my life and how fortunate I have been to have those mentors. I think, there's a lot of people not as fortunate and think, obviously an hour a week isn't too much to ask to give back a little bit. So.
All right, very good. Thanks, Nate. And Tristan.
My name is Tristan Jackson, and I work for Great Life. Excuse me. And this will be my kind of first official mentoring capacity starting later this year. I kind of got into mentoring by working for the Sioux Falls School District with Kids Inc. And just really seeing how just showing up day by day, how you can really make a difference in those kids' lives, and it has since continued on from there.
Right, very good. Well, you make a great point. It's that consistency, and it doesn't take long. It's an hour a week. I say that, and yet I go over the lunch hour, or in a traditional year, I would go over the lunch hour, which isn't really an hour. It's more like 40 minutes maybe. So really, to invest time in mentoring, you can pretty well, if you're assigned to a student in a nearby, wherever you work and then the school is nearby, you literally can leave your desk and be back in an hour's time. And so it's not a huge commitment. It typically happens during the day, so it's not, another after work thing you have to do and that type of thing. So those experiences for you, did you anticipate, Tristan, that you would enjoy it as much, working with kids as much as you do?
100% no. When I moved to Sioux Falls, I went to the University of Sioux Falls for exercise science, and I needed a job. And I had a friend who had already worked for Kids Inc. and he liked it. So I applied, I got the job, started working with kids, and really, truly fell in love with it. And I think the big thing about mentoring for me is, I make an impact on the kids, but I think they make a bigger impact on me at the end of the day.
That is so true. And that, I think, is what gets mentors to come back year after year is, it might be a little scary at first, where you don't know who this child is and what are we going to talk about? What are we going to do? And suddenly you meet, and then it's like, you have to go back for as much fulfillment for yourself as you hope they're getting as well. And it's kind of that reciprocal arrangement, I guess, if you will. So Nate, having decided to jump into this, what experiences have you had with being a mentor or someone that others have looked up to, or what are you looking forward to in that role?
Yeah, so I think mostly just from my upbringing was in like a lot of kids is centered around sports, and you know, you have those initial mentors in your life, coaches and different people pointing you in the right direction, whether it's a positive message each day. So originally after graduating college from Augustana, I got into a coaching role for ice hockey here, and it was younger kids, might,
yes.
which is you're really young, like 5, 6, 8-year-olds, I think was the max, and I think I had no idea what to expect going into it, but then selfishly it becomes one of the best hours of your week that you get to go mess around with these kids, because you know, obviously they have a lot of energy. You can feed off their energy, and I think just, you know, pointing them in whether it's one message per week or whatever it might be, you know, seeing the smiles on their face and, you know, just being a positive influence on them is pretty rewarding for, you know, selfishly too. So
yeah, absolutely. It could be a job, but it's really a little more than a job, because it's fulfilling. It kind of fills your heart to know that you're serving in that role as well. So each of you were brought into the Teammates mentoring program, which is relatively new to Sioux Falls, but one we're glad to have available to our families. And that Teammates concept, you both spoke about your passion for sports already, and do you anticipate using sports as sort of a conversation starter piece with your mentee when you get together?
For me, I would say not necessarily. It's going to be, you know, they may not even be interested in sports. So for me, whatever they want to talk about, you know, I'm just going to be there to listen and tell them my experiences. You know, I might talk about sports in case they haven't played or don't play or aren't sure about playing. I can at least give them my experiences in that.
Right. And sometimes sometimes you spend your time mentoring, playing a game, a board game. Sometimes you just do, well, for me and a couple of my mentees, we would do crafts or something along that line. And the conversation just really happens. It's not like you have to go in with a set agenda, like today we're talking about, you know, your focus, and tomorrow or the next week we're gonna focus on time management, or, you know, something like that. It's not that structured. It's really just the togetherness. Do you anticipate using sports or just experiences to start those conversations? Because you haven't met your student yet, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think Tristan nailed it on that. It's more of how they want to take the conversation, where it'll lead to. I mean, I can just remember some of the coaching conversations. A lot of them revolve around video games, which at this point, it's all way over by. I have no idea what they're talking about.
Oh, come on, you're a player, aren't you? You're a gamer.
I wish, but
you've got to be a gamer.
I mean, their faces light up when they talk about it. So if they're excited about it, you know, let them go on it and hear them through. And I don't have much to talk about when it comes to video games, but if they're excited about it, then it's just fun to listen to them.
Right. So how did you get approached about becoming a mentor for the Teammates program? Had you heard about it, or was this a new concept? Who came to sort of twist your arm?
Yeah, so I had a coworker who, oddly enough, had a mentor when he was growing up, and he wasn't, I think when you have multiple kids, it might be a little bit harder to actually find that hour in the week, but he's a huge Nebraska fan, and he said there's the Tom Osborne connection. He forwarded it to me and said, you know, this would be a cool idea, and I thought, you know, this would be great. It doesn't seem like it would take too much, and I've been looking for something after coaching, so it seemed like a good fit, and just wanted to see it through. So absolutely.
And how about you? Did somebody approach you? I know there has been the connection with Tom Walsh, and this huge supporter of Teammates and getting that up and running in Sioux Falls.
Yeah, so for me, working with Great Life and being the Play Everything coordinator, I already work a lot with the school district. So it just seemed like a really natural fit. And of course, when they brought it to my attention, of course, I wanted to be involved in whatever way. But yeah, just working with Great Life, I just kind of naturally had an in. But when I heard about it, I was all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's great to be flanked by two gentlemen here because there are so many needs for positive male role models in our schools. And it's not just boys who need the positive male role models, but girls as well, who have had various experiences that need a chance to see a positive person showing up consistently and that type of thing. So when you were getting matched with your person, and again, these gentlemen haven't yet met their mentees, so they're waiting in anticipation. But by the time people are viewing this, hopefully that has happened. But what did you have to go through in order did you fill anything out to sort of tell about the process about how, okay, I'm going to do this, then what happened? Was there like a survey or an interview or something that you shared about your strengths and that type of thing?
Yeah, yep, there absolutely is. You fill out a piece of paper with, life experiences, your interests and all that. And then teammates isn't gonna match you with somebody just to match you up. They're really gonna take their time and make sure that it's a right fit.
Mm-hmm. So those experiences, maybe past experiences or what have you, are important and may mirror some of what the student is working on as well. So what are you most anticipating with, what are you looking forward to in this relationship as you build it?
Yeah, so I think initially there's going to be the phase where you kind of have to get to know each other, and then hopefully once you get over that, it's it's something that hopefully for both of us, it's something that you can look forward to each week. It's something you got on the calendar, and that each week I can't wait for my call or my lunch or whatever it might be with your mentee. So that's kind of what I'm most looking forward to. It's just having something that we can both look forward to, and it's not something that it's hopefully my goal, at least for the mentee, is it's something that he has each week that he goes, oh, I can't wait to talk to Nate again, and not, oh, I got to do this call with this guy again. So hopefully I can kind of make it fun and entertaining at least. So.
Right, absolutely. And in this situation now, we are doing virtual mentoring and getting that underway. Our kids, for a long time, for several months, 9, 10, 11 months now, have experienced some isolation due to COVID, and obviously schools being shut down fourth quarter last year. Summer looked a whole lot different in terms of activities and things like that maybe didn't occur. And there's been some anticipation of, oh, maybe the school year is going to be different. Well, it has been different. We haven't been able to do all of the things we've planned to do. The activities might not be the same. Different sort of school functions aren't the same. And we know as a school district, those challenges aren't just going to go away when COVID is under control. Those things are going to continue to resonate and may bubble up to be broader issues years into the future. How does that play with your thinking, knowing that some of these kids have not had the relationship building that is normally done during a school year? Are you thinking about that in the back of your mind, or is it not something you're focusing too much on?
Yeah, so that's definitely something that's crossed my mind. Is that I think just people in general need that connection and want to have someone to talk to and someone to listen. And so it's just been, if anything, this year it's just been shown that much more. I kind of expedited that and kind of brought to the forefront that it's that important for people. And I think not even not just kids, people in general need that connection, need someone to talk to, need human interaction. And so those kids that aren't getting that, especially in the years where they should be learning a lot more things, and they should be I guess they're at an age where a positive influence is really important, and if they don't have anyone in their life, that connection is definitely becomes that much more important. So that's especially a year like this year, and like you said, it might not change for a little bit longer. That the more kids that we can have to get that connection and to have someone just to talk to and listen to is that much more important.
Absolutely. And any thoughts from you, Tristan, along that line as well?
Yeah, I think, in an elementary school on a typical year, there's just so much going on. They have field trips, there's guest speakers and all these things. And, when you think about even high schoolers, you feel for seniors who are missing all of these stuff. Well, at an elementary level, it's the same for fifth graders, where maybe they only get to go on a trip as a fifth grader and things like that. Mm-hmm. So I think they're missing a lot of that, and just like Nate said, that having that human connection, someone that they can talk and listen to, I think was going to be very beneficial.
Absolutely. We do know that our community, thankfully, they answer the call in so many ways. Mayor Paul Tenhaken has adopted he's programming, calling it the Sioux 52, trying to get 5,200 mentors, and really promoting that as even a workforce development type of thing. Like if our workforce invests in these kids, and then those kids have stronger relationships and ideas about what careers might be available to them, that really investment on the front end could result in a longer term benefit for our community as well. And so thankfully we have such a wonderful community that comes alongside whenever there is a need, no matter what the need is, and it's exciting. So what are you telling others about mentoring? Have you been able to twist anybody else's arm to try this out?
I have. I talk about it, basically whenever I get the chance. Just letting them know that this year, now more than ever, we're going to need mentors. We can't be in the schools, we can't do field trips and stuff like we've already talked about. So if there ever was a need, it's for sure, these past couple of years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and same message as Tristan said. I think, when you look around, a lot of people reflect on their own lives and they kind of look at how fortunate they were to have great mentors or coaches, whoever it was in their life, to point them in the right direction. Then it does, I think, make people think a little bit harder. There's someone out there who doesn't have that, so why not sign up for this and give back for an hour a week? It's not too time consuming. So
yeah, when I think back to my own childhood, came from a traditional family, farm family, so there was lots of work to do. And I didn't really stop and think about who was my mentor until I think I became older and wiser. I don't know. Maybe I'm still not there on the wiser part, but older for sure. To stop and think about who has shaped me. And for me, I was a history teacher and the football coach, Coach Mitchell. He was always had a word of wisdom to share with us, and I think that was someone you always listened to. He was going to say it regardless, but he was the kind of guy you just, that seems to make a lot of sense. Then I think about, in terms of my professional life, an English teacher who really sparked in me, you're a good writer. It's like, I am. I hate to write, and now suddenly that became maybe that's what I should do. And so kind of gets you along that line. So when you think about your own mentors, who could you name? Maybe they'll see this, maybe they won't. But and Coach and Mrs. Bragley probably won't see this, but they are people that helped guide and move me in the right direction. So who would you say, Tristan?
For me, I'm going to take it back just a little bit. You had mentioned, you didn't really think about who your mentor was until you got older. Well, my mom actually passed away in 2015, which was my first year at USF.
Wow.
So at that point, I was kind of, I was in a dark place. I was lost. I was like, is finishing school even something that I can do right now, dealing with this? So for me, it would be one of my friend's moms. Her name is Tracy Lamore. And she's just always, been so motherly, whatever I need, if you need to stay the night, advice. She's always texting me and asking how I'm doing. She is interested in my career and things like that. So for me, it's without a doubt her.
Awesome. That's a great story, and obviously your own experiences have shown you the value of that role and the value you could be playing for another student as well. So who would you name, Nate?
Yeah, so I mean, there's lots of teachers and coaches along the way that you get different messages from, and usually it's just something of some positivity or some positive note. But I think it does kind of, for me personally, it starts with my parents, and it starts with my dad. It's something that you don't realize until you're a lot older, like you said, that
Right.
Now when you look back on it, and he's telling you the behind the scenes of showing up to your baseball practices every single, with 3 kids, and he's talking about how stressed he was, and these breakdowns in traffic trying to get to this stuff, and you're like, at the time you just take it for granted, and everything's, you don't realize that consistency and them showing up to coach or to be there to watch you is something that is a lot more work on this end. And so I think just having that example is really the biggest thing. And like you had mentioned previously, it's just that consistency of showing up, and it probably won't make a huge difference right away to the mentee, but it's kind of the reflection later. They go, wow, they took an hour out of their week every week, and they were always there, didn't miss it. And I mean, as a kid too, you have no idea what's really going on behind the scenes in their life, and it doesn't matter. It's just
all
that
about
they're
you,
there. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
At that age, it's pretty much, I am the most important, and and there's so much going on these days. There's so many options, which is great, options for kids to be involved in participating. But yeah, as a mother of 3, that does seem to wear you a little thin about how you're going to get here and there and everywhere. And I clearly wouldn't have named Mrs. Braley and Coach Mitchell as my mentors back at the time that I was experiencing that. But when you step away and you come back and you look at your life and appreciate all of those things, what do you want this person you're going to meet as your mentee, what do you hope they say about you in 20 years?
I hope they say that I made a difference in their lives, that I was trustworthy, dependable, and I hope in 20 years that we're still talking and that they're still reaching out.
Yeah. Well, I would say my first mentee that I talked about, Megan in Michigan, we lost touch after she moved to Michigan as an 8th grader, and thanks to the world of social media, I don't know, I don't thank social media all the time, but we were able to connect about 5 years ago, and at that time she was graduating from college. Wow. And just said some wonderful things about our time together, and it was like, wow, that forget those things. So what do you hope your mentee says about you in 20 years?
Yeah, so kind of the same thing. You hope you can kind of build that connection and at least be a reference point as they grow up, because obviously everyone growing up is going to have different experiences, and if they can use you as a sounding board to hopefully point them in the right direction at least a couple times along that way, and kind of keep that connection, and hope, even if they they don't like me in the beginning, hopefully there's some reflection looking back on it, and we still are connected at that point.
Well, I have a story about Kevin, and he lives in Sioux Falls, so I don't know that maybe he'll see this or not, I'm not really sure, but Kevin did not talk to me for at least the first 6 meetings. And you start questioning yourself, going, all right, is it because I'm a woman and you wanted a guy and they didn't have any guys? Is that where we're at? I mean, what's going on here? I don't know how, but we landed one day playing Uno. And that little stinker, who's an adult now, he was so competitive. And so that became our thing, and then he started talking bit by bit, and we went through a lot together, to get him comfortable with me, and then opening up a little bit more about, some of the needs he had academically or at home or what have you. And boy, it was a struggle. And so it's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Absolutely always worth it. You've probably had some of those kiddos you've encountered along the way too.
I have,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, and you just have to keep chipping away at them. You know, but I was sort of banging my head up against the wall thinking, I don't know, this is like, this isn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. But Kevin's always been a special person to me, and ran into him a while ago, and I would not have recognized him until he spoke. And he said, "Can I help you with that?" And I, Kevin, hi. You know, I hadn't seen him in so long, but it was like, I'm like, I don't care if this is legal or not, you're working, but I'm gonna give you a hug because I haven't seen you forever. So, but just that joy and, you know, that relationship, getting through the good times is fun, getting through the hard times is rewarding. So much, really, as we started this conversation, when we talked about, I felt like I was getting as much back as I was giving. So if anyone's thinking about mentoring, let's just end up on that. What would you say? Did you have your own reservations, or what could you tell people who might be thinking about mentoring, jumping in?
Jumping in, I would tell them, you know, don't have really an expectation because you have no idea where it's going to go. You know, I know you mentioned about chipping away at Kevin, and I think, you know, all relationships take time, and I think the best ones take even more time. And then when you finally break through, it's like, I'm sure, you know, you and Kevin could just become super close.
Yeah.
I know for me and, you know, the kids that I work with, chipping away and then finally having that breakthrough, it's totally worth it. And if you're thinking about mentoring, I think it'll change your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, just like Tristan said again, I think you know, there's a lot of people in the community who are eager to give back to Sioux Falls, and a lot of people who are looking for the right way to do it. And I think this, I mean, Teammates makes it incredibly easy to do it, to get signed up. They're happy to have anyone that they can possibly have, and they'll make it as easy as possible. So, you know, I think this is a great avenue to go, and it's hopefully will be rewarding for both parties. So
Right, worthwhile for sure.
Yeah.
I know they do. Teammates does some checking background checks and making sure that you'd be a good person to connect with a young child. I know that because I received a survey to fill out on a coworker of mine who is going to become a Teammates mentor, and had to ask some questions. How have I observed her working with students in the past? Would she be someone that is consistent? Would she be someone that could serve as a positive role model? And so there are those checks and balances in place to make sure that the right people are mentoring students, and that there is a possible connection between the student and the mentor as well. So just really great programs. Teammates mentoring, also Lutheran Social Services school-based mentoring program offers a variety of options as well, everything from in classroom, and then they have the You Succeed program for high school students. So just reach out into our community and into the nonprofits that are available out there to get connected. It certainly will be worth your time. It will fill your heart in ways that you didn't even know were possible. So thanks for learning a bit about mentoring today with us.